Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of America in Black and White, where we tell the truth and solve the problems of what's happening in the underserved African American communities. Tonight, we have a very special guest, Mr. Kashaun Cooper. Kashaun Cooper is a visionary founder of Champion Nation, which is dedicated to uplifting and empowering local communities. A passionate advocate for transformative change, Cooper is an acclaimed author and inspirational speaker known for his works like What If I Am, The Four Stages in Life, The Champion Father, and several motivational journals. He connects with diverse audiences through speaking engagements at community centers, universities, and local organizations. As the co founder and co host of Power to Push radio program and creator of the Champion Nation podcast, Cooper shares inspiring stories of resilience and success, fostering a spirit of community and empowerment through Champion Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you all to Mr. Kashaun Cooper. Hello, Mr. Cooper. Welcome to the show, sir.
Welcome. Thank you, Charles. Thank you so much.
Man.
Thank you, everyone. It's great to be here.
Well, I'm glad that you're here, and thanks for being here on the show. And also, I want to thank you for you know having the opportunity to be here. As in, as I go through had a few technical issues here, so I appreciate you for being here.
Thank you. No, it's all good, man. That's what technology, that's what technology does.
Hey,
Technology be your friend or your foe. I see you lost me, or I lost me. I
yeah,
lost.
your camera is off.
How about let's see what we see. That's technology, right? That's what we were just talking about. How about that? Let's see. Did we there we
There
go.
you go.
We're back in action now.
Yes, sir. So, as to your bio, is there anything you like to add to the bio that I just read?
Man, no, man. Let's just jump and have a great conversation. Let's have a great conversation. I think we talked offline. I said, "Hey, what's the topic?" Let's just let it flow. I love the conversations that are natural.
Right. Well, also one of your colleagues, and I guess you guys are a member of the same group. I had Wayne on last night.
Okay, yeah. How was
Yeah.
that?
Oh, it was great. It was really, really great. And I'm hoping he come back. Just like I hope that after we're done with this show, you decide you'd like to also come back on the show as well.
Absolutely. So let's jump right into it, man. Let's jump right into it.
Yes, sir. So tell us what inspired you to create Champion Nation, and how does it align with your vision for community empowerment?
That's a great question. When I think about a champion, I think about someone, a group of people, or a person or individual who has overcome certain obstacles. In order to be a champion, there has to be a contender, right? You
Right.
can't, even if that contender is yourself. So there has to be your contender. And born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and going through the type of childhood that I had. Now, I'm not going to say it was, the worst, because I'm sure someone out there had a childhood growing up that was worse than mine. But my childhood was my childhood, and I had to navigate the nuances of my childhood. But if you look on paper, if you looked at my life at age 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, you would literally say this young man is going nowhere.
Mm,
That he has the potential to go nowhere. And that's the thing. I decided that one of my favorite sports is football. Right, football season is coming up right now. Everyone is excited. I live here in Atlanta. And with that being said, my favorite team is the New York Giants. Right, so
okay.
every scout, every analyst, every sports show, they're looking at teams on paper. They're saying, "Hey, man, looking at this team on paper, man, they are going to go deep into the playoffs." Now, you and I both know that doesn't always translate.
Mhm.
What you see on paper is not
Mhm.
always what translate into the real life, into the game.
Right.
And that's the thing with me. What you look at on paper and did not translate into the life that I have now, which is constantly overcoming different situations and growing up without my dad being there and dealing with that, and moving on and becoming a teen parent, and those different things of that nature. My finances not being what I want it to be, filed bankruptcy once before in life. But the thing is, Charles, I never stopped, right? I
Mhm.
never ever stopped. One of the things I love about football, one of the positions I love is the running back position, right?
Mhm.
So when that ball is hiked and the quarterback passes the ball over to the running back, and even if he gets 1 yard or a half a yard, you know what part of his body never stops moving?
The legs.
The legs never stop moving. I don't care if he hit the offensive line, those legs are just chopping. He just never stops. Even if it's a half a yard, even if he loses 5 yards, he could lose 10 yards. But the thing is, his legs never stop moving. And then eventually, over because of the law of averages, even if he gains 1 yard, 2 yards, lose a yard here, lose a couple of yards there, guess what's going to happen? The quarterback is going to give him the ball. He's going to break for it. A 20-yard gain,
Mhm.
touchdown. So
Yes,
that's
sir.
the thing about the champion nation, man. I never stop moving, and I want to be. And not just me. It's so many examples out there. I'm even sure yourself, Charles. No matter what has come your way, your proverbial legs never stopped moving.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. And so, I mean, that in itself shows more than just resilience. That shows that you have that will that you will never stop until you reach wherever you say is the top and where you
That's it.
decide to stop.
That's it. And you're right. It's not what society says, because
Yes.
society would tell us, hey, this is the type of goal you should have at that point in your life. At this age, you should have 2.5 kids, a golden doodle, a golden retriever, white picket fence, 850 credit scores, six figures by the time you're 31.
Mhm.
Right?
Right.
No, that no, no. That sounds good. You
Right.
should have $150,000 saved in your bank account by 45. Come on, man. That's man. That's some people, and that's wonderful for them.
Mhm.
But for the vast majority of us, that's not our lives. But we are able to say, hey, I won't have 150 in my account, but I can have 5,000
Right.
by the end of the year. and
Right.
and you start building on that. So to your point, you're right. I don't stop until I reach the goal that I set for myself.
Mhm. And but also I think a lot of that is very unrealistic to people that look like you and I, because and it's not like it's a sob story or nothing like that, but just saying in general for what's real is that having to start so far behind and having so many obstacles before you can really get your legs going. I mean, you're not going to reach that goal regardless of the case. That goal was not set for us.
Well, and you know what? To your point, you're right. The goal is achievable, but the time frame
Hmm.
is different. So hey, by the time I'm 45, I should have 500,000.
Hmm.
But people that look like you, 500,000 may happen when we're 80 years old. I mean, so but it happened. And shout out to my son. My son is watching right now, Jabari. Hey, bud, what's up, big beef? But you're right. But even with that, see, that's the thing about the champion nation. The champion nation has no color, right? We all come from a variety of backgrounds,
Hmm.
and just because someone may have the money, it doesn't mean they have the relationships,
That's true.
right?
That's true.
So you and our goal may be, hey, we want to be, mid six figures in the next 3 years. But somebody else is saying, man, if I could just have a spouse, if my kids would just talk to me, or if I could just have my health. So we all have different goals. We all have goals. They just different, and it
Right.
doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter your origin, background, or color, ethnicity. We all striving for something, and that something is to be better.
So, could you share a pivotal moment in your entrepreneur journey that shaped your commitment to uplifting local communities?
That's a great question. What happened was when our restaurant went under due to COVID. You're riding the wave. You're riding the wave. You have a business going on. A business is jumping. It's on TV. People are coming. It's on the news. Lines out the door. Everything is good. And then all of a sudden, what they say, it's good until it's not good.
Right.
It's good until it's not good, until the well runs dry.
Mhm.
And the thing is, when you put all your eggs in one basket, that's probably like people that look like you and I. We have a tendency or propensity to put things, all our goals and efforts into one basket. When that basket has a hole and things fall out, what are you stuck with?
Nothing.
Nothing. Right. You're stuck with nothing. So, with that being said, that was the moment where I realized, hey, I can't, as a man, I owe it to my family. And, I don't be selfish here. Forget society, forget the community, because none of that matters if I'm not operating at an optimum level. So
Mhm.
everything starts home. So I have an obligation to my wife, to my kids, to make sure that, hey, what's the lesson here? Never depend on one check. Never depend on one idea.
Mhm.
While you're working one idea, while you're going to town on that, there should be another one that you're dabbling in. I know when I was growing up, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I would go to Virginia, Franklin, Virginia, for the summers, and my mother, she wanted me to be cultured. She wanted me to have the city life and the country life. I would go to the country. I would pick eggs in the chicken coop. I would go milk the cows and do all of that. And then I would come back to the city and live the city life. But every morning, Big Mom made breakfast, Charles. And when I
Mhm.
say when Big Mom made breakfast, that breakfast was the best breakfast ever. But what Big Mom didn't do, she didn't only focus on the bacon. That's it. No,
Mhm.
Big Mom focused on the bacon, the eggs, the cheese grits, the toast and the broiler. I mean, she made sure Big Dad had his medicine. She made sure the lawn was mowed. She made sure the laundry was going on in the laundry room. You get what I'm saying? So it's the same thing. Big Mom, she didn't say, "Hey, everyone, I'm going to cook the eggs when the bacon is done." And then when the eggs is done, I'm gonna move on. So what I'm saying is, you can't have just, even while you're working on one idea, you're working that idea, you're working on that idea. You got to be like Big Ma. You got to be working on the eggs too while you're working on the bacon. You get what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So that was the pivotal moment where I refused to ever work on one part of the breakfast. I'm gonna work on the whole entire breakfast at the same time.
Well, and you know something? I will tell you this. This is the one thing that I've always prided myself on, and that is more than just multitasking. But if I have, because I have more than one situation going on.
Right,
So when I have more than one situation going on, what I'll tell you what that means to me, for me, is I have that many ventures going on, as you mentioned before,
right,
because it's not just one thing. It's like, for me, it's like six or seven different things.
right.
It's just one me, but if I got people helping me in all these different areas, I'm good to go. But you're right about that. You got to have more than one.
Yeah, conventional wisdom would say stop. You chase two rabbits, you come up with none. Yeah, that's just as stupid as saying you want to have your cake and eat it too. Why the heck
Yep.
am I don't want cake and I can't eat it? I mean, what's what's the purpose of that, right? So my
Exactly.
so my point is for people like you and I and other people that watch your show, no one say you can go in on those 6 or 7 ventures. No one said that, right? But the
Right.
thing is, while Big Ma is letting the bacon, while Big Ma's letting the bacon cook, guess what she's doing? She got
What's
the bacon on low, right? She got the
right?
bacon on low while she's scrambling the eggs,
Right.
right? She got her eye on the bacon while she's scrambling her eggs. She didn't take her eyes off the bacon, but she also set the temperature to a perfect setting that she knows by the time those eggs finish scrambling, guess what she's gonna do? She's gonna flip that bacon over. So it's the same thing with you and I. When you have those different ventures, you're not going all in on one. You're going all in. You're going 90% in on the major one, while you're still focusing on and having your eye on the other ones.
Yep. And so tell us this. As an entrepreneur, what challenges did you face when launching Champion Nation, and how did you overcome them?
What challenges I faced? Nobody knew about me. No one knew about who I was. And at that point, no one cared because it wasn't mainstream. It just wasn't. And how did I navigate that? I had to put myself out there. I had to put myself out there through newsletters, put myself out there as far as podcasting, and not being afraid to reach out to people and have them say, let me see your metrics. I showed them my metrics. Oh, no, thank you. I'm not interested in being on your show anymore. I don't want to do it. Hey, it gotta have 10,000 downloads and then I'll be on your show. Well, here's the deal. Guess what? At this juncture in Champion Nation, I am not a good fit for everyone. Right. Nonetheless, it did not stop me from pursuing other people to get them on the show, because that's the way the Champion Nation is built. Right. I may be the helm of it all, but Champion Nation, that's the thing. One person doesn't make up a nation. A nation is made up of many, many different individuals. So in order for this vision to rise up, I have to network and connect with individuals and champions from all over the globe: Asia, Australia, Europe, other parts of the States, North, South, East, and West. So that was the biggest challenge, is getting to a point where people would begin to listen to me and share the podcast and have different content too, because everything is not, as you can see, I'm really rah-rah. I'm ready to go, but not every show calls for that, because not every individual needs that fire lit on 10 to take action. Some people, when Big Ma would cook, guess what she would do? While she's cooking breakfast, Charles, what I left out, she's also prepping dinner. She's cutting the greens, right? She's cutting the greens, and she got the smoked neck bones on the stove, on the oven, simmering. So for other people, it doesn't have to be rah-rah. It could be something on low, and let it simmer. So that was one of the biggest challenges and obstacles I had to deal with.
So so let me just get this right, because I do know that I've heard of the instance to where a lot of shows, people try to be what they call exclusive, to where you have to have these certain things in order to get on their show. How far did that go? As you were going through that situation and your breakthrough, that you had a lot of folks to turn you away.
I won't say I had a lot of folks to turn me away. I had people in my mind that I said, oh man, I can't wait to have. I know that person. If I could get them on the show, it's gonna do. I would reach out to them. Let me see your metrics. Oh, I see you only have this. You only have that. I'm sorry, I'm not interested anymore. Keep up the great work. Reach out to me about a year or two, and then we'll go from there. So I've had that, but for me, anyone could be on the Champion Nation as long as you have a story. Now it has to tie into what we're not gonna. I had a guy on there. He talked about he has his own blockchain, his own cryptocurrency on the blockchain. Now that is a stark difference of conversations that we ever have on the Champion Nation. But the thing is, that talked about financial literacy from a cryptocurrency standpoint. So because we are moving into a crypto cashless society, why not have a gentleman on the show to talk about cryptocurrency on the blockchain and how you can tokenize your business? So for entrepreneurs that's looking to capitalize on tokenization, that's why he was on the show as well. So, we talk about a variety of different topics, but as far as being turned down by a lot of people, it didn't happen. It was enough.
Mhm. So, what strategies do you employ to foster collaboration and engagement with the communities you serve?
Ooh, that's a great question. So, what strategies do I use? So, one of the strategies that I use to foster collaboration in the community is number one, live shows like this on my podcast, right?
Mhm.
Live shows as well as newsletters, working with local community PTAs, schools, working with local business associations and having them as guests. One of the guests that I had on the show, he was a sheriff for the county that I live in.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
black sheriff, black guy. He was one of the first black man deputies. I mean, he is highly decorated.
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, how many? Unless your show is geared towards law enforcement, most
Mhm.
people won't have law enforcement on their show. And the reason I did that because I wanted him, and he was open about it. I wanted the community to hear his POV from a former deputy sheriff. So,
Mhm.
just having those open dialogues from different people within the champion nation to tell
Mhm.
their story, because that's how I believe that's how a lot of the issues that we deal with, they will go away. If you
Mhm.
knew me and I knew you, and you
Mhm.
knew, first of all of us have a backstory. If,
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
we all do. And whoever says, "Nah, I'm good," I don't. Nah, you're lying. You're lying. We all have a story. Somebody was brought up poor. Even if you was brought up rich, maybe your daddy was never around. Maybe your mother did cocaine. Maybe your father was an alcoholic. I don't know, man. I mean, we all have a story. There's no peaches and cream here.
Mhm.
And if we all was able to look at each other as a fragile elements within this amazing universe, we'll be understanding towards each other and not have to deal with the racial tension that exists right now.
That I do believe, but it's a lot deeper. But yes, that's definitely one of the things that matter a whole lot about that. How do you balance business growth with maintaining a positive impact on the community?
Well, I thought you was going to say, how do I balance business growth with maintaining the relationship with my kids and wife? I thought that's what you was going to say. But because everything starts at home, of course. But how do I, manage the business growth um, and in the community? The thing is, number one, I have to take time for myself,
Mhm.
right? I literally have to take time for myself. I have to dedicate an hour of just quiet time or reading or meditating to myself. Because if I'm not good here, I'm not good here, man. There will be no growth. There'll be stagnation. And anything, I mean, anytime you hear the word stagnation, it stinks, right?
Ye-
Stagnation stinks.
Yes.
And there's no growth where there's no where there is stagnation. Um, the thing is, after I take care of myself, now I'm able to say, okay, so this is the vision that I want Champion Nation to go in. How is this going to happen? Who's in the community to help further this goal and further this vision outside of my wife, obviously my number one champion, business coach, life coach, and all that other stuff. Outside of her, who else is who else exists that can help me push the vision? But number one, and I know I think I said this already, but number one, and I'm not trying to be selfish when I say this, but I have to take care of myself first.
Mhm.
I have
Well,
to.
you know something, I don't think that that's selfish because let me just say this. I think for those that don't realize that you have to take time for yourself and you have to have self care, If you are not right, as you said earlier, if you are not right, especially here and here, then you can't do nothing for anybody.
No, no,
And so
no.
when you take that time and you can actually work that out where you do have that self peace, it allows you to be able to not just share yourself, but to have yourself feeling that much more comfortable and relaxed to where you don't have to think and worry about so many things.
I mean, absolutely. It's the old saying. When you are on the airplane, if the airplane is going down, they tell you who do you put the oxygen mask on first?
Yourself.
Yourself. You have to take care of yourself. And I'm not saying like shut everything out, shut everybody out. But for real, if you ain't good, I'm telling you, I don't care how good you think you are or how good you want to be, nothing around you is going to be good. Everything is going to be subpar. So you got to take that time for yourself. You got to and and you know what that is. You know, for me, is listening to an audiobook, is listening to a podcast, is reading. Even I mean, I have so many books right here, books over there, books over here, books behind me, books right here, everywhere. But even if I just books right here on my desk, even if I just pick up a book and I just read one page and I sit and let that marinate. I don't have to. I mean, there's not too many books I've read all the way through, but even if I just sit and let that one sentence, that one page just marinate,
Mhm.
I'm ready. I'm ready to take over the world, at least my world. I'm ready to take over my world. My mind is right.
You said one thing that I would love you to share with all of our audience right now. What kind of books do you read?
That's a very, very good question. Um, I don't have a variety, a vast variety. A lot of my books are business books, self help books, self improvement, sales books, because I am in sales. But once again, that's improvement. So it boils down to self help, self development, finance, business books. One of the best books that I've ever written. I mean, excuse me, read was Orison Sweat Martin,
Okay.
self investment. A little short book, as you can see, little short, tiny book. You can get through this probably over the course of a weekend. In 2011, it felt like my whole world was crashing down on me. Like literally, I was in a really, really, really bad spot. And I read a magazine, and I have it in my closet, Success Magazine, and there was an article, a little center cover, and it was Orison Sweat Martin, and he was an orphan, and at the age of 7, and he had to go out and in the winters with no gloves on, he had to do all this different stuff, and he came across a book by Samuel Smiles. I can't remember the name of the book, Samuel Smiles, and that book changed his life. Samuel Smiles. I think. Hold on, let me. I could tell you what that book is right now because I think Samuel Smiles only wrote one book. Samuel Smiles. Yeah, he only wrote one. Yeah. Oh, never mind. He wrote. Oh, the name of the book was Self Help. He wrote, yeah, that was the name of the book. Actually, he wrote over 20 books. I don't know any other book, but he's known for the title book, Self Help. And Orison Sweat Martin came across that book, Self Help, and that changed his life, right? And
Mhm.
when it changed his life, he went from being an orphan and he went back to his parents and he said, I want to go back to school. I want to go to school. He said, well, I'm not paying for school. And this is when you had to pay for school. So that lets you know how long this, I mean, this was like early 1800s, right? So his parents said, I'm not, and he was white. And they told him, I'm not paying for school. So he went out there and he earned his way to school and through school, and he became Dr. Orison Sweat Martin. He became a lawyer, a priest, a pastor. He wrote over 30 books, went to Harvard. And I said to myself, wow, if that guy did it with no technology, no advancements, yeah, the color of skin is different than mine, but you know what? What the old folks say, where there is a will, there will
It's a
be a
way.
way. So I said to myself, and he led me to Napoleon Hill, which we all know, and then that led me to John Maxwell, and then that led me to so many different people, and now, um, yeah, I mean, the list goes on and on. So I know I made a short story long, but those are the books that I read and I delve into. And one thing that I started to do this year, because I've read so many books, I was reading them to devour them mentally. But I stopped reading all self-help books now, and I started to apply one principle at a time. You get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So instead of just reading to devour information, now apply the principles. And I'm telling you, the book I'm reading right now is Wallace Waddles, The Science of Getting Rich. And let me tell you something, that book has changed my life.
So, while we're here at this point, let me ask you a couple of follow-ups here. The first is, what was your motivation to becoming an author?
That's a great question. uh, Man, there was something inside of me that said, "Hey, I wanted to write a book." The crazy part about this is, it's crazy how life is. I did really bad in school, high school. I hated English. I hated writing. I mean, when people would sit on the sides of me for English in high school, and it was a test, I just gently just lean over to look at the answers. Or sometimes, my classmates would be so generous and just hand me the answers, and I just write it down. I literally hated English. I hated reading book. I remember, what is the book? The Raisin in the Sun. I think
Yes, yes,
Raisin in the
Raisin in the
Sun.
Sun.
Let me tell you something. When we had to read out loud, Charles, I would cut class. I I hated that, man. When I knew we when I knew we was when I knew we was doing Shakespeare and we were reading out loud for that week, man, I
Uh-huh.
found something else to do, man. It wasn't going to class. So it is so ironic that this young man who hated books, like I wish books would have caught on fire growing up. And
Mhm.
now to have a library full of books that I cherish and that I love, and also read myself. What inspired me is I was sitting at a red light when I was living in Baltimore at the time. I was sitting at a red light right across the street from M&T Bank Stadium where the Ravens play, and I was sitting there at the red light, and my foot was on the brake. My car was in drive. I wasn't moving. Right? There's nothing prolific about that, but I was sitting there. I'm like, wow. If I take my foot off, the car's gonna go. But in order for me to get to drive, I got to go through three different gears: park, reverse, and neutral. But in order to get from park all the way to drive, I have to apply pressure to the brake. It has to last long enough. That pressure has to last long enough for me to get through those gears so I can go forward. And it was at that point I'm like, wow, man, I've been living life in reverse. I've been living life in park. And it doesn't matter how much you love a car. Like, what's your favorite car, Charles?
Oh, all I drive are Cadillacs.
Ladies and gentlemen, all I drive is a Cadillac. Hey, we owned a Cadillac before. I love we owned a Escalade, a ESV, man. That
Mhm,
beautiful machine. But as beautiful as Cadillacs are, and the
mhm,
Escalade, as beautiful as they are, if I put an Escalade in neutral, guess
mhm.
what I could do to that vehicle?
What can you do to it?
I could just push it, me by myself.
Right.
Me,
Yes.
270 something pounds can push a multi-ton vehicle in
Right.
neutral. So that means
Right.
it's pointless. And although the Escalade that we had was beautiful, it was gray, shine, gosh, chrome finishing, beautiful car. But if we left that car in park over the period of time, what do you think would happen to that car?
Actually, it will probably, you got to do something to catch it back up after a period of time because it's been sitting idle for a while.
Sitting idle. So basically, that beautiful car sitting there is what? Useless.
Right.
Useless. So the metaphor that I'm using, I'm comparing us to cars.
Mm-hmm.
Now we are way more valuable than a Cadillac. We are
Right.
human beings. We're
Right.
made after God's own image.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
we're way more valuable. We could think, we could breathe, we could create, we could dream. But if we are sitting idle, we
Mm.
become useless.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
it was that idea that sparked, hey, I'm going to write a book titled, what if I am the four stages in life, living your life and drive. So
Hmm.
that's what inspired me.
So, what genres do you write?
Self-help, the same books that I read. I believe that we all have a story to tell, and I don't write about my life. I'm not that type of author
Hmm.
where people say, "Oh man, I got to put my life out there." I think my life is unentertaining. There are so many lives that I think that are way more entertaining than mine. But-
Well,
so so
so
I
are we
don't.
gonna wait till you become a billionaire before you decide to do an autobiography?
That's exactly what we're going to do. As soon That's exactly. I mean, you read my mind. Yeah. As soon as I become a billionaire, I'm going to write the autobiography. Trust me, I'm taking notes right now. I'm taking notes right here on my Evernote. So as soon as that bank account hit them, what is that? 9 zeros.
Hmm.
I have no other choice but to
Hmm.
release my autobiography. But I just write self help books. How what one of the things that I guess frustrates me more than anything is people who waste their potential.
Okay.
That is a trigger of mine.
Hmm.
Um uh, we all have potential. Like you have somebody who's a great storyteller,
Hmm.
and you're telling him or her, you say, hey, you should do this, you should do that, yeah, da, 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 da. And you are believing in them more than they believe in themselves. Now that's a
Hmm.
no-no. That's a no-no. But I believe that all of us have potential to be phenomenal, phenomenal, like a fish in water. And that's what my books are there for, to help that person to go from one stage in their life to the next. And the book can just help one person. Then guess what? I did my job.
What's that?
No, I said if the book can help one person, I
Uh-huh.
did my job.
Oh, okay. Yes,
I did my job.
that is true. What role does mentorship play in your approach to entrepreneurship and community development?
In the sense of me being a mentor or me being mentored.
No, you mentoring.
You know what? That's a great question. When it comes down to mentorship, I'm a firm believer. If you want something, you got to go out and get it. You got to go out and ask.
Mhm.
And I am always uh, available for someone to be mentored or coached or guided. You know the thing, Charles, is I think sometimes we believe as human beings we have all the answers.
Mhm.
Us and Google. And when we form a partnership with Google, we don't think that we need a mentor.
Mhm.
So I can count on one hand how many people have approached me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in some form of mentorship?" It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. I think we believe that we live on a lone what is it, a lone wolf syndrome, where we could do it all by ourselves and then try to figure out or get frustrated while we aren't moving as fast as we should. So um, I don't go out to seek a mentee because I'm just a firm believer. Hey, if the ship doesn't come out to you, swim out to it.
Mhm. Wow. Okay. Could you share a success story where Champion Nation made a significant difference in someone's life?
Absolutely, absolutely. There is the work that I do, the work that you do, very. It's not often that you get to hear the impact and the influence that you've had on someone. Right? It just doesn't. And I'm guilty of it too. I'm listening to a podcast now. That podcast has really changed my life. And every day I keep saying I need to email the host of this podcast and let him know that, I mean, this podcast has changed my life. It hasn't happened. I don't know why I'm procrastinating, but I know I need to do it. And I know it would encourage him to keep pushing out content if I just said he was doing an amazing job. But every Monday I do a motivational moment, and a gentleman came to me a few days ago, and he said, um, "You don't know how much your motivational moments really touched my life. They really blessed my life. Not only have they blessed my life and touched my life and my relationship and everything, I've also shared your words of wisdom with my dad as well. I shared it with people in my family. Now, the thing is, I would not have known. I didn't ask. I didn't solicit. Hey, if you like this, leave me a 5-star review or comment below. I didn't do that. It was just in conversation. He said, it really touched my life. So hearing that success story and how I was instrumental in getting him over the hurdle while he was in between jobs, that was amazing. And that's why I do this. Like I said, if one person's life is positively impacted by my books and my life, I did my job.
Mhm.
That's it. Because guess what? That one person is going to share it with someone else.
You're right. What advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs who want to create meaningful change in their communities?
Simple. We talked about it earlier. Outside of the quarterback on the offense, the powerhouse is the running back.
Mhm.
And we talked about how the running back, no matter if he gains a yard, loses several yards, or gain a chunk of yards, 10, 15, 20, or even a touchdown, never stop moving your legs. And that's metaphorically speaking, and also in actuality. Never stop moving your legs. Never stop going. Never stop walking up to people networking. Never stop walking up to people with your fingers networking. If you see something, most of us, I mean, I get fearful. I get scared. My palms get sweaty. I get butterflies in my stomach. But at the same time, I ask myself this question: what's the worst that can happen? I mean, my mother, she's not here anymore, and my dad, he lives in New York. I don't. My days of getting beatings are over. I mean, who's beating me now? Who's beating me at 41? I look like Black Santa Claus. I mean, like who's beating me? No one. So my thing is,
Oh my God.
my thing, my thing is, what's the worst that can happen? I tell you, the worst that can happen is someone would look at me and say, "Hey, Kashaun, I'm not interested." Or, "Hey, no, not today. No, I don't like your idea. No, keep it moving." Okay. Well, just because that person said no, there's hundreds and thousands of other people I could ask, and all I need is one yes. So the same thing, to entrepreneurs out there. Literally, all you need is one yes to change your life.
Mm. How do you measure the success of Champion Nation beyond financial metrics?
You know, that's really hard to answer because it is, like I stated earlier, the work that Champion Nation does. We won't. There's a lot of times we won't ever hear the success stories, and if we do, it is literally few and far between. It may be a share on Facebook, because a share on LinkedIn, or share on Instagram, and we may not get mentioned or tagged in it. And I'm just so happened to see something, or my wife just so happened to see something and screenshot it. So there's really no way to measure it, but we do know if we stop doing what we're doing, we know that puts a nail in the coffin. The work is done. So how do we measure? Just by keep doing it, doing it, and doing it, and putting out content to bless other people's lives.
Well, if you ask me, I'll tell you, I think the success is one in how you actually created this organization. And with its name, its name is something that you have no choice but to find out, well, what the hell is Champion Nation? But I think the work that's put behind it and how you've actually expanded and how you are growing, that's the difference. Because it's that difference and that noticeability is why so many people will get to see and know not just you, but your company and the brand itself and how it actually helps communities. That's already successful.
Well,
So
I appreciate
that's
that.
that's immeasurable. And so we can't put that in financial terms, but I mean, hey, that's already successful. And the only thing you have to do, brother, is just keep doing what you're doing because that makes the whole difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You summed it up for me. You could have asked yourself the question for me. You summed it up for me. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. What initiatives or programs has Champion Nation implemented to address specific community needs?
One of the things that we tried to implement and that we're going to roll out a good to great conference that we wanted to do. Was it this year? Yeah, the beginning of this year, we wanted to do a good to great conference, and that has been put on hold for now. We are going to bring that back out in 2020, either the end of 2025 or the beginning of 2026. And it's a good to great conference. It's going to be millennials, and my thing is, for all of us, we are God's children. Good and your name should not go in the same sentence. There is nothing synonymous about good and Charles. That's just not it. Not,
Mhm.
I mean, God is not good. God is great.
Exactly.
I mean, just look at everything around us.
Mhm.
Regardless who takes the White House in November or not. At the end of the day, God is still great in all of His creation and all of its creations, right?
Right.
So that's what the conference is going to be about. How we can go from good to great in our finances, in our relationships. There was a guy who's a speaker who I'm going to bring him back. He's a death doula, right? So he sits with people and he helps them transition from life to death. Their dying moments. He helped them go away. It is so unique. It is so unique. Um, and the reason I wanted him to speak, because I think in order for us to fully live, we have to die.
Mhm.
We just have to. We have to die to the like we talked about earlier, the societal goals. You got to do this by this and that and that and that and that. You got to graduate from college by the time you're 22. Hey, what if you graduate from college by the time you're 61? You get what I'm saying? So we
Yeah.
have to die to those societal norms. So that is, I know you asked about initiative, but no, that is a conference that is definitely in the works because I know for sure it is going to be life changing.
So, how do you collaborate with other organizations and stakeholders to maximize your impact?
That's a great question. You know what really has helped with that? The podcast, man, because
Mhm.
I get to meet people from all over the globe. All over the globe. I mean, football players, CEOs, multimillionaires, people people battling health conditions. I mean, just so many different people. And the thing about the Champion Nation, there's no brick and mortar. It doesn't need to be in this day and age. There's no brick and mortar. The Champion Nation is exactly what it is. It is a nation full of people. So how do I collaborate? Just like with you and I, how we're talking now, I'm sure we're going to talk offline. I'm sure, and we talked offline before we got to today. So
Yes.
throughout those conversations, being able to network and collaborate, because there are things that you do phenomenally that I don't. I can't even touch the tip of the iceberg, and vice versa. So how can we work together and collaborate to bring your skills and my skills, excuse me, let me say it this way, your top-notch skills and my top-notch skills, bringing them together to create a champion nation all around the globe. So it's
That
through
is
the
true.
podcast.
Yes, sir. What motivates you to continue championing positive change despite the challenges you encounter?
Ooh, good question. I don't know how to quit. That's
Well,
that's just a,
that's a winning attitude.
yeah. I don't know. Now I do get knocked down. Like something happened to me a few days ago. I called my wife and told her. I said I just want to cry. I just want to cry. I just wanted to curse and cry and kick my car and do all that stuff.
Mhm.
But guess what?
That's that.
Those are emotions. That's natural. If that didn't happen, you would think I'm a robot. When things, when you're driving, especially, I don't know where you're at, Charles, but here in Atlanta, the people drive here weird, man. They drive here very weird. I don't know what it is. They drive here weirdly, and when they want to flip you off and give you the middle finger, you think I just want to sit there and smile and be positive? No. What do you think I want to do? I want to put my car and drive and pull alongside of them. But I don't. I don't. Those emotions come, but you got to know how to channel those emotions. When somebody's having a bad day or treating you badly, it really does take maturity to say, "Oh, wow, maybe they're just having a bad day." And it has nothing to do with you. Nothing at all. So, how do I stay positive? I just can't quit. And I always want to win. Literally, I want to win. I desire to win. And when I don't win, you talking about cranky? I do get cranky when I don't win.
Well, I will tell you, I do understand that Atlanta situation because I do live there in Atlanta. I'm just broadcasting on the road right now,
Okay.
uh, I definitely understand that because it can definitely put you in some serious awkward situations where you can say some of the damnedest things.
Absolutely. So I keep those things in my mind.
Um, what steps do you take to ensure inclusivity and diversity in Champion Nations programs?
Oh, very good. Let me just shout out to my wife real quick. What's up, Boo? Thanks for watching. Dominique Cooper. Diversity. Wow. When I look at people, I look at people as people. Like I said it once, I said it twice, I probably said it 3 times. We are all God's children. We
Mhm.
are all God's children. That's it. And the thing about God, God is not a color. God is not one color at all. Not one color. So when I see people, when I see you, Charles, I see God that looks like you. When I see my wife, I see God. I see my son, I see God. When I see the tree, I see God. When I see the lamp that's this little ring around right now, I see God. So when I see people who have different beliefs than me, I see God. Because guess what? We are all individuals. That's it. If you are one of the guests I had on my show, name is Lexi Knight,
Mhm.
transsexual. Went through the procedure and everything, and dropped some major knowledge on how she was ready to give up all hope. Her family turned their back against her, and she kept on going. You see, here's the deal.
Mm.
I'm not a transsexual, but guess what? That message is universal.
There you go. There you go.
So it doesn't matter. I'm not a white man, but the
Right.
message is universal.
Exactly.
That's the thing about the champion nation. So when you talk about diversity, how could it not be diverse? Because we
Exactly.
are either going through something, been through something, or on our way to something. That's just the way
Yes.
it is. And we
Yes.
all need each other to survive. See, that's the thing. We are all interconnected. Everyone needs everyone. I mean,
Yes.
you cannot name one thing that someone doesn't need. We don't need each other. We're like, well, I could play golf by myself. What about the person who created the club? What about the person who created the golf course? What about the person who created the golf ball? You're like, oh well, I can go fishing. Okay. What about the store you bought the bait from? I mean, what about the person? What about the company who created the rod? We need each other.
Mhm.
Point blank. That's it.
Yes, sir. I agree with that 500%. How do you empower individuals within the community to become leaders and advocates for change?
Number one, they have to already see it within themselves. I can't. I had a manager. He used to say, "Kashaun, are you picking up what I'm putting down?" And it's the same thing. I mean, are you? If I'm talking to you, excuse me. If I'm talking to you, you have to be picking up what I'm putting down. You have to. I can't have to constantly sell you to you. I just can't. I can't say, Charles, let me tell you something. You're gonna be one of the greatest podcasters out there, man. I mean, you got, keep this up, and then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, all right. Mhm.
Don't make
I
me
mean,
laugh.
I'm really wasting my time right here, and that's one thing I can't get back. I don't want to waste my time.
Right.
And I told you, wasted potential is a trigger of mine. So, but if I'm saying, hey, Charles, you can, if you tweak this, if you do that, man, I'm telling you, this may alter the course of your career. And then you hit me up 5 days later with a screenshot. Hey, Kashaun, look what I did.
Mhm.
Whoa! See, action right there changes the game.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
how do I inspire? How do ain't no half stepping someone put in the chat. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't half step this. It's either all
Or
or
none.
nothing. That's it. That's it.
Mhm.
So how do I inspire? I inspire those who want to be inspired, someone who's looking. What they say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. You don't have to, as a teacher, you don't have to go around looking for students. That's
Mhm.
what I'm saying. If you there's a famous passage in the Bible where Jesus was meandering, he was walking through, and the lady touched him, right? Touched
Mhm.
him, and he turned around. Yo, who touched me? Right? And it was the lady with the issue of blood. So that's the thing. If you want something done, you gotta go out and get it. The story talks about how there was crowds of people around Jesus. It was throngs of people around Jesus, and she made her way, pushing, shoving. She probably got elbows. She probably was weak. Probably drooling. Probably hot outside. Whatever the situation was, she made it to Jesus and did what she had to do. So if you're looking to be inspired, guess what? The books that I bought, they didn't buy themselves. They, I didn't go to bed. I didn't go to bed one night and wake up and like my books are everywhere. I had to go out and get it. So
Mhm.
it's the same thing. How do I inspire? Man, you gotta, hey, brother Cooper, hey, man, this is what I'm thinking. Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. There we go. That's how you can tell when people are serious, man. Either you start charging, two, three, four, $5,000 to have conversations with people, or they show some high level of initiative.
Mhm. What lessons have you learned from setbacks or failures, and how have they influenced your entrepreneurial mindset?
Hell, Charles. I mean, you asked us some great questions, man. What lessons? You mean the question should be, what lessons didn't I learn? I've learned so much, but I guess if I could sum it up, because I know time is slipping away, I've learned so much that setbacks are going to happen. That is called life. But I'm a firm believer. One thing that I live by is what's in you is greater than every obstacle, challenge, and setback outside of you. And what lives in us? The spirit of God, the spirit of success, the spirit of being a champion.
Oh wow, I love that. I love that. That's that's a mantra. That's a slogan. You got to keep that. What role does storytelling play in conveying Champion Nation's mission and impact?
Everything is storytelling. Everything. I When it comes down to storytelling has been around for millennials. That's how we convey messages. I could come up here and tell you I can read this little book right here and have someone else come read the same book. One person could tell it with in a way where it's it's theatrical, and or someone could come here and tell it where it's flat. Who wants to go to a movie and watch a flat movie? I mean, no one does. You like the ebbs and flows. You know how the movie's going to end. You